Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of these crazy people that just keep eating me and can't stop talking about it. Today we've got a new guest who hasn't been with us before, JC, and Austin's going to start us off by talking about subjects like anxiety and OCD, I think, and then we'll get into LadyCarnivory's story. So what have you learned about carnivory and anxiety and OCD, Austin?
Yeah, so I personally struggled with OCD growing up. It was worse in my childhood. My mom would always joke because I would go over to my friends' houses and I would clean. So their parents loved me. But yeah, everything had to have its place. It had to be very organized. I wasn't a huge one as far as numbers or counting, but I did always kind of have to check as far as things before leaving the house. So even growing up, being a teenager, like checking the stove, checking, like thinking worst case scenarios. Those were kind of my compulsions as far as control. But I've always been total clean freak and having things in a very specific order and place. So that's kind of been my struggle. And I grew out of it to some degree. I had cognitive behavioral therapy growing up and always felt kind of like the weird kid who needed therapy and everyone else was normal. So struggled with that mentally for sure. But yeah, even growing out of it to some degree, that anxiety, that OCD persisted. It wasn't all bad. I will say that it definitely helped me to stay motivated and organized in school. So I can't say that it was all bad, but it's was energy that I didn't need to be spending to that degree. And that's one of the diagnostic criteria is, to how much energy per day are you really spending on that, as far as the anxiety, or if it were depression, like how much are you thinking about that? How much is it taking away from your daily life? And it definitely was for me. So it wasn't until I was a teenager and started changing my dietary habits that my mental health was improving. And for that, first and foremost, it was sugars and seed oils, processed garbage. I went from paleo to keto to carnivore and definitely noticed improvements. But prior to that was, I think I started at 10 years old. I was on Zoloft, a serotonin um, reuptake inhibitor, and yeah, not a good thing, to be honest, especially long term. It actually has the opposite effect, where then it becomes this exogenous source, and then you're not producing it on your own. So as we know, the gut and the mind are very much linked, and 80% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. So I really needed to get my gut intact in order to see these mental improvements, and that it's really what it took. No medication was helping me to that same degree, and I didn't realize this until I actually changed my diet. So again, paleo to keto to carnivore, but I have never felt better with carnivore. I have not been on medications for several years now, and yeah, I think the carnivore diet definitely has a strong impact on mental health, and I see that in my clients as well, particularly with anxiety.
Tom, you're muted. Great professionalism. There we go. So people come to expect on our channel.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what kind of numbers do you see in people that you've helped? I mean, is it like you see 10% of the people as something like that, or a half, or?
Oh yeah, I say definitely more. I say 80% notice mental changes in their mental status, whether that's anxiety, whether that's depression, just overall a better mood in their day to day. And a lot of times it's, that um, they're surprised by it. They don't necessarily have a diagnosis of anxiety or panic attacks or OCD, but they just see how much happier they feel when they change their diet. And so that becomes like, oh, plus this, that's amazing. So yeah, it's not even something they expect, because they weren't formally diagnosed, and in diagnosis, it's really, what does it mean? You are not your diagnosis, but the carnivore diet, yeah, at least 80%.
Very good. So,
yeah, I mean, before I noticed my migraines decreasing, it was definitely the mood and the energy that kept me going. And I don't know if that's for other people as well, because, you know, people start out and either the weight's not coming off or the main thing they're trying to work on isn't sorting out, but they like, I sleep better. My energy's better. I'm a little less moody. And then it's like, okay, keep going, keep going. You know, it's a little struggle there in the beginning.
And sleep definitely, I think, plays a huge role. Yeah, those are the things that you can't really, I mean, you can tell people about it, but until they experience it for themselves, then they're like, oh, wow. Like those lifestyle changes, as opposed to, like you said, I just want to see the number on the scale decrease.
I don't think it's any mystery that one of the very first things that people seem to notice gets better on the carnivore diet is digestion, and immediately thereafter mood, right? And then immediately thereafter sleep, right? And I don't think there's any mystery there because, like you said, so much chemistry is generated in the digestive tract. Plus, we know that there's quite an extensive there. I think there's more neurons in the digestive tract than there is in the brain. So you can only imagine the impact that has on the nervous system, right? So you've got that really strong connection there. So if anything, people should feel that first, and then you know, the other things start healing. The other physical problems, they probably just take longer because it's not just a matter of shifting chemistry; it's a matter of new cells replacing damaged cells or cells that weren't repaired properly along the way. So
yeah, and I always have to laugh because it's, you know, whether they're 30, 40, 50, they want results in 30, 40, 50 days, and it's been 30, 40, 50 years, and you're just like, all right, so we gotta look at this the whole picture wise. You know, this is something that is gonna require consistency, and again, it's a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix.
right. Yep. I think everybody, I mean, I've been a carnivore for over 3 years now, and I still know some things are progressively getting better. All kinds of things. I mean, the anxiety didn't just. I had a tremendous amount of anxiety, and I was on medication for it too, and it didn't just go away overnight. But it's continually gotten better, and a lot of mine was event driven. But sometimes it was idiopathic. Like I had no idea why I was feeling it. But those things happen less frequently, and when something really serious does happen, it seems to just kind of roll off me now and
Yeah,
rarely
I'm
affects
much
me.
less reactive. If that resonates with anyone, just in you know, something that would have, you know, even someone cutting me off in traffic that would have irked me, like, to no other previously. Now it's just like, okay, go ahead, sir. Like,
Well, I noticed it particularly like I communicate with a lot of people in autistic groups, and they're like, "You're so zen now all the time. You know, things are blowing up around you, and you're the one who's just like taking it in stride. I don't know what's going on, but you know,
that's such a compliment. I
yeah."
know. People say, like, you're so laid back, you're relaxed. I'm like, I am amazing. Yes.
Well, I want to credit Janice. I believe she's the one who introduced me to LadyCarnivory and asked, "Hey, let's have her on." But Austin was also familiar with her story, so I'm glad you're both here. I don't think anybody here is foreign to the concept of anxiety and OCD. But why don't we let LadyCarnivory introduce herself, start telling a story, and maybe Austin could chime in a little before you have to go. And of course, Janice, you're always welcome to speak up.
Awesome.
So go ahead. Tell us your story. Where does it start? How'd you get where you are now?
Well, my OCD it really started when I was around 10 or 11. I had a traumatic childhood experience that occurred, and that kind of triggered it for me. I don't remember being a person who had, I have had checking behaviors as well. And I was just a very structured child. Like I had to have my routines, otherwise I would just kind of spiral. It was very difficult for me to function outside of them. And my family always treated it as, oh, JC and her little routines. So on the one hand, I think it was great that they kind of made light of it and didn't make me feel weird or abnormal. But on the other hand, I probably should have been seeing a professional. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 15, and that was by my primary care physician, who then referred me to a psychiatrist. And I have been on various kinds of medications since I was 15 to treat my OCD. And I did cognitive behavioral therapy as well, which is kind of funny to me because the cognitive behavioral therapy I experienced was very much like, here are the things you need to do to manage your OCD. And a lot of it was routines, which to me was odd because so much of my OCD behavior was in routine. So I was like,
Right.
are we managing this or is it managing me? I'm not
Right.
sure what we're doing here.
I've
And
wondered that same question many times myself. So it's
Well,
because I'm kind of routine driven myself, and I'm like, yeah, how much routine is too much routine? And I was talking to my buddy BNS. He's like, the experts say you really shouldn't plan any more than 40% of your day. And so I was like, okay, so I need some routine, but it's got to be below 50%. So I don't know. But I've had that exact thought that you brought up many times.
yeah, well,
JC, did they put you on medication right away?
yes, so when I was 15, I saw a psychiatrist, and I believe they started with anti-anxiety medication. Eventually, I moved on to antidepressant. So I kind of ran the gamut, and nothing changed my OCD behavior. It just made me more numb, so I wouldn't react the same way.
I totally can resonate with that for sure.
And then
Yeah, I
What did you
noticed.
think about that? Did you like that?
I'm sorry, it was breaking up. Do you mind repeating?
Did you like that? Did you feel that that was helping you at the time?
No, I don't know how to explain it if you've never experienced anti-anxiety medication, but it's very much like you're just in a fog. You don't feel like yourself, and I don't know, I never felt human. It was bizarre. And any emotion you do experience is so dampened, and I don't know, I just felt numb, like inhuman, wasn't experiencing life. It was like life was in sepia tones. Like everything was just kind of dull, nothing was vibrant. I couldn't feel anything.
and at this time you're 15, and so how was friend groups like high school and stuff like that, like pre-medication, and like was managing friendships easier with medication, or like about the same, or it made things even more complicated between you and the social groups?
I definitely, I was I don't know. I want to say I was an outcast in high school. Like I was just a nerdy kid. And so I just had a very tight knit friend group, and we were all kind of like nerdy together. And it was before people were regularly being diagnosed with anxiety disorders. So looking back, probably a lot of my friends had it too. So personally for me, because I had that tight knit group, I don't think I noticed a difference in how I was experiencing things, but this would have been right as I was entering high school anyways. So maybe I wouldn't have known the difference.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think birds of a feather tend to flock together. So I've noticed that too in the communities of people on the spectrum, is they tended to have friends that were also on the spectrum. And maybe it's just some sort of familiarity with the behaviors or whatever. But I think that's in itself is like, well, that's just how they are. Those are that type of kid or that type of person. And it's not really clear. Of course, now, I mean, when I was first diagnosed with learning disability, they called it visual memory inhibitants, and now everybody knows the term dyslexia, right? So I think we're just kind of seeing the terminology really gel, and so that adds another layer of complication to the diagnoses, because you might be diagnosed by somebody who was trained slightly different, but then, as I said, it seemed like people with these similar sort of diagnosis tended to tolerate each other well, or be attracted to each other or whatever. So
Did it escalate after you started to be on medication?
It didn't escalate, no. I was in a pretty bad relationship at the time, and I was at that time also in the midst of eating disorders. So it was just I had a lot going on. And I don't know that I would have noticed that one particular element changing through the medication.
So you're under
Oh.
a doctor's care, you're on medications, and then when is the next phase? Did you start experimenting with any diets along the way?
Yes. So after the medications, I started doing the behavioral therapy. And then when that wasn't giving me any sort of change or relief at all to my symptoms, I found keto. And I originally started that to reduce inflammation for joint pain, but I found that it reduced brain fog and kind of alleviated some of my OCD symptoms, but also at that time, just big life events were happening. And so it was actually one of the worst periods for my OCD as well.
JC, can you share a bit? Because when we did our interview, I think people, they hear the term OCD, but they don't quite know like what the behaviors are like and how extreme they were for you. Can you share some of the things that how you were manifesting OCD?
Yes. So a lot of my behaviors were checking behaviors, like Austin was saying. So if I were to leave my house, I would need to make sure that the door was locked. And I think that's a normal behavior for most people. But I would check 50 plus times. I would check that the door was locked, walk to my car, and just worst case scenarios would run through my head. I'd have to go back, check the door, get halfway to my car, have to go back and check the door. And logically, it's so bizarre because logically, you know that the door is locked. You literally just went back and checked that the door was locked. It has to be locked because otherwise, why would you walk away? But you can't stop.
Right. Yeah, I did an interview with the Nusky family over a year ago, and they had a little guy who was like 10, and he was that way too. Everything they did was ruled by his rituals. He had to check stuff. I mean, they were walking down to the park or something, you know, all kinds of events along the way would divert their journey to the park because he had so much building up. And it was keto that turned around for them. They're mostly keto. They're like a meat heavy, and then the whole rest of the family had all these other issues resolved. So yeah,
That's awesome.
You're not alone. So, and I think a lot of us got to carnivore because of keto, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, you know, keto is such a broad term. So what was keto like for you? What were you eating? What kind of keto diet were you eating?
I was eating very whole foods based. So I would say my diet before that was standard American diet, but leaning more towards paleo. So I've always kind of eaten a more whole foods diet. And then when I did keto, I think it was like 70% fat, 30% protein, and the majority of it was whole foods. I didn't do a lot of artificial sweeteners, and I didn't do a lot of like keto replacement foods. It was mostly whole foods. I was eating a ton of salads, a ton of greens, and I really think that was probably one of the worst things I could be doing at the time.
Were you eating meat, much meat?
Probably not as well. I mean, in the context of what I eat now, no. I was eating probably the same amount of meat as I was on standard American diet.
Were you particular about what kinds of meat you ate?
I was, and I was eating a lot of lean meats, and then I would supplement veggie oils for my fats.
Yeah, I ate a lot of lean meats and a lot of salads pre-keto myself. So I know. I thought eating some lean sirloin was a little bit of a bad idea, but I'd do it. And the rest of the time it was turkey and chicken breasts and all those dry, weak meats that none of us can live on for very long. So.
I think I did the same for a little while, but I always added the Primal Kitchen avocado mayo and chipotle lime. I mean, I would dip pork rinds in it like no other. Like that was an everyday occurrence.
I'm sure if Mark Sisson was here, he'd thank you.
So how quickly did your symptoms resolve when you switched to carnivore?
Very quickly. And I think that probably because I was coming from keto, I experienced quicker resolution than a lot of people do. But I was only going to do carnivore for 30 days, but within that 30 days, it was like the OCD inside of me was shrinking. Like I could just feel.
It's a good way to put it.
I could feel the anxiety getting smaller. And so I knew I was onto something. And I knew I needed to continue eating this way.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's a very similar story to a lot of people. I know I was on keto and I was like, I was hearing stories about family members that would die over 100 years old and they ate bacon every morning. And I'm like, sounds pretty good to me. It's not exactly keto because definitely going to blow my protein macros out of the water. But I was drifting that way. And then all of a sudden the carnivore community started exploding. And I was like, well, I'll just jump on that bandwagon. And I never wanted to go back because like you notice the difference. In fact, I tried to go back to keto for a month for a comparison just to see if it was all in my head. And I did keto for like maybe a week. You know, I started running out of that rice cauliflower that was in the freezer. The coconut oil was going dry. I was like, screw this. I'm just eating meat. So when did you hear about carnivore? How'd you get started? You know, what did you notice?
Yes, I was doing keto, and then I think it was December of 2018. Dr. Sean Baker was on the Joe Rogan podcast. So I heard about it in 2018, but I didn't start until January of 2020.
That was a world-changing event. It doesn't get enough credit. And
Really
I think they took it down off the YouTube, sadly, because
Yes.
I looked for it and it's gone.
They took it down. Yeah, it's gone.
It is on the hell's the name of that?
Spotify?
Spotify. Yeah, it's on Spotify, but it's not on YouTube anymore. So yeah, it was a big deal. So and did you know, I think since a lot of us were keto first, we were more or less fat adapted. That's probably your case. So it was an easy switch. When you saw Sean Baker on YouTube and it kind of gave it a stamp of approval and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And what were you eating? What kind of meats were you eating in the beginning?
It took me a year. So I saw it in 2018, and then I didn't jump on board until 2020. Hello.
This is Ray. I don't know if you've met Ray before.
I have.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Jason.
Good.
Hello.
Glad you know him. Ray's been doing these videos with me and Justin for over a year, so we've done quite a few together. We all met at Meet Our X, and then the crowd just kept growing.
Oh, awesome. I signed up today.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
So what are you eating now? You steak girl? You like hamburger? What do you like? Bacon?
I think like many carnivores, I've just leaned more towards beef over time. When I first started, I was just eating whatever I craved within the carnivore spectrum, and I was eating a ton of salmon. I have some theories there, but tons of salmon, lots of beef, and now I'm mostly beef. So in the morning I have eggs and bacon, and then typically for lunch I'll have burgers, and then for dinner, I mean, ideally a steak.
Nice. So eggs and bacon for breakfast, hamburger for lunch, steak for dinner. Sounds perfect to me. So
I think it is.
Totally ideal.
Were
Yeah.
you able to quickly go off your medications, or were you off them in keto?
I was not off them in keto. And yeah, I was able to get off the medications pretty quickly. I don't recommend this, but I just kind of took myself off of them. I didn't consult my doctor at all. When I told her that I was experiencing the relief of all these symptoms that I had and all these amazing mental health benefits, she was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. What are you doing? And I told her about the diet. And she was like, you need to eat lean meat and vegetables.
Okay. And
so I fired her.
Did you say that's how I got here?
Yeah. So I fired her and I found a keto doctor, and he was very supportive in transitioning me completely off medication and monitoring my blood work and making sure that I was healthy.
So how did you find a keto-based doctor?
I Googled Denver keto doctor, and I found the Denver diet doctor, Dr. Jeffrey Gerber.
Very good. Yeah, that's good.
Low Carb USA also has a website where you can go and you can look for keto physicians as well.
Hey, Justin, remind me to put all these links in the notes, okay?
His agent.
LadyCarnivory, is it my understanding that you're training for a swimsuit competition?
Yes, so it's a fitness competition.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be in the bikini division, yes. So that's a huge goal of mine. I've had this dream for the past 5 years, and I'm so excited that I finally get to pursue it. Excellent.
I'm a bit of a gym rat myself, and a couple of gyms I go to, there's quite a few people that do that there. So I'm kind of a pseudo fan. I've never gone to the competitions, but I love working out with those people.
They're so dedicated, and that's what drew me to it, is these people, and I mean, I'm going to lump myself in with them now that I'm 7 months into training. They put months of hard work and dedication, waking up, going to the gym, eating the food they need to eat for 10 minutes on a stage. And it's incredible to me. I'm so excited and so happy that I get to live this dream.
So what is your regimen, I wonder, then? Like, are you getting up at 4 a.m., hitting the gym, or?
Yes.
Wow. All right.
And how much do you sleep?
So since starting carnivore, I actually sleep less than when I was doing standard American diet. So I sleep 6 hours a night, and I actually have a biphasic sleep pattern. So I'll sleep for 3 hours, wake up for an hour, and then I'll sleep for another 3 to 3.5 hours.
That's actually not that uncommon in the autistic community. Yeah. A lot of people wake up at night and then don't know what to do with themselves, and then try to go back to sleep. So
I see that in many clients, for sure.
Yes, I was very lucky because I brought it up to someone, and I thought that maybe I was having sleep issues, and apparently there's historical record of first sleep and second sleep, where people would sleep for a period of time, wake up, go visit family, do like house chores, and then fall back asleep.
Yeah, I believe that was like a thing in the Victorian age. Like, a lot of people did it, they'd have activities and then they'd go back to bed. Yeah. So, and it kind of faded out, I guess, with time as a popular activity, but some people, it's just how they sleep. So,
I mean, sleep issues are really defined on how you feel about it. If you're feeling satisfied with that and rested, then it's not an issue. And if you're not feeling rested or satisfied, then it would be an issue.
So I imagine you spent a fair amount of time working out. Did you have to increase your food to catch up with your workouts, or?
Yes. So initially, when I first started training, I was doing a mini cut. So the coach I was working with had me on reduced calories and kind of a 50-50 macro split between fat and protein. But I switched coaches. I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm in a building phase, and I am at a higher calorie level and 60 to 70% fat now. And I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of us coach. So a lot of people, we kind of start them out at around 50-50. And then it's not uncommon for people to need more fat. It really comes down to how much energy you're burning. So, but that's generally the direction most people go, I think. So
now I have to ask, since you're talking about anxiety, and now you're this goal of this bikini competition, which is awesome. Has that triggered any more anxiety in you?
No. So the reason I held off on this goal for so long was because I was worried that dieting down and the dedication that it would take and the routine I would have a mental breakdown. That's what stopped me for so long. But after doing carnivore and just having this reduction and eventually elimination of symptoms, I was just like, I'm going to go for it. I'm so excited because I finally get to do this. And I have not had any triggers or even when I was expending the most energy and eating the least amount of food, because the food I was eating is so nutritionally dense, I never had a relapse in symptoms.
Very good. Yeah, I like to tell the story that when I first started doing these videos, I wouldn't even appear on camera, and as I got deeper into carnivory, I just didn't care anymore. I'd talk to anybody. I didn't mind being on camera. So I can only imagine back before, you probably would have never dreamed of going on stage for a bikini competition, right? Much less, like you said, you anxiety around managing the process of getting to the stage, right? It's pretty complicated, right?
Yeah. I describe this to people, but I think carnivore just gives you this sense of confidence.
I might have
there's no
heard
way
that
to
before.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't there a show about that on
I
YouTube?
think there's
Heard of
somebody
that.
that goes by the moniker Confident Carnivore somewhere.
I mean, I
Um,
think it helps you just so many levels emotionally. Like in my situation, it wasn't OCD, but it was really whether I was going to stay on the planet, and I needed to find a way to not leave the planet after my beloved died suddenly of brain cancer, and then I broke my back, and I really wanted to leave myself. And so it was really like, I'm going to have to try this to see if I can have the fortitude to stay. So it's another kind of emotional trauma than dealing with a certain kind of anxiety, but it was it still fortified me in that way to 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 stay.
that's amazing. I love how carnivore helps
Yeah.
different people in different ways, but we all come to the kind of same conclusion that we just want more people to know about it and spread the word so other people can experience the benefits, whatever it may be for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you said you're working with a coach. So is your coach like keto, carnivore? Is he just like, okay, well, she's got her diet. Have to work within these parameters. Like, how's that been? I'm just kind of curious.
So he is a carnivore. He
Oh, okay,
mostly
cool.
does my workout programming. So he's Canadian, and in Canada they're not allowed to do nutrition advice, even if you have a certification, which he does. So I'm kind of on my own for nutrition, but his workout programming is amazing.
And how much time are you spending in the gym? How many days? How long are you there? What are you doing when you're there?
It's about an hour a day. So we do training blocks. So we do 4 weeks of weightlifting, and he'll take a look at my pictures and see what we need to work on for that 4 weeks. And then the 5th week is metabolic conditioning. So it's weightlifting plus cardio. Those are not my favorite weeks. They're amazing. There's just a lot of work.
Yeah, I've got a buddy at the gym that I'm trying to get to come on here, and she's a pro bodybuilder, and she's a dwarf. So she works out like an animal, but she's only in there for about 45 minutes a day. So, and she looks amazing. So I don't know. I just about everybody else has probably seen pictures or links I've sent out. Her name's Allie Q Dub, and she is just jacked. I mean,
You keep
it's
mentioning
amazing.
her, Tom. It's like you're gonna have to have her on here now. Just have to.
Dude, she's tough. She knows that I see her at the gym and she's giving me that look like, don't ask me again right now. I'm really busy.
Oh no.
No, but I think one of these days we'll get her on, because I'd like to
Sure.
I'd like to tell her story too. I mean, she overcame a lot. She did it all just so she wouldn't have to have some surgeries, some
Nice.
back surgeries because of her dwarfism. So, but I'm trying to get more hardcore gym people in here. So I'm glad you're here. I like people who dedicated.
To avoid those epidoses, Tom. When you talk about the hardcore gym stuff, I'm still actively avoiding working out.
Well, one day you'll want to. That's how it was for me. I stopped working out because I had arthritis so bad for almost like 8 or 10 years, and then all of a sudden after some carnivory, I was like, oh, I got to get back to the gym. There was no stopping me. I was just dying to get back in there and lift again. And now I can lift more than I did before. So I'm 50 now, and I can lift more weight now than I could when I was 25 easily. So.
And I've seen your weights, no question about it.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not even, the thing is now I have the energy, and I feel like I probably have more strength. And Aaron was trying to teach me the X3, and I kind of liked it, like I like the feeling. But the weird thing is now that I had my elbow surgery, and today I was starting to do resistance bands, and I was like, I think it's actually like a weird like body issue thing, because actually I think I have the ability, like my physique, to put on a lot of muscle, just like I don't know why, but I feel like I was doing these little bands, right? And I'm like, my muscles are starting to bulge at the top, and I'm not comfortable with it because I'm so used to just being this like little scrawny, undefined Asian girl like my whole life. And so now that I'm back down, like my weight is back down to like even pre-vegetarian. But when I start, Raymond told me with the ribeye thing that Charlene and Joey Anderson, or Charlene stopped working out.
She stopped working out because she was getting too much muscles. Yeah.
But that's what, like, I literally have been doing nothing, and I started playing around with my resistance bands today, like the medium one of just like the little stretchy band. And I was looking at my muscle in the mirror, and I'm like, I don't like it. Like, I don't feel comfortable with it.
Really? You don't like it?
I don't
Oh
like.
God.
I like being defined, but when I start seeing it look like starting to bulge, and it's like, it's weird because I look at somebody, like I look at like Coach Ashley, from Meter X, and I'm like, she looks like a badass. Like she's still very feminine, but she's very defined. But I just have a block for myself because I don't know what would happen, like experiencing my own body if I start to get this like more muscular kind of tone and everything. So it's kind of just like a part of the progression of carnivore that I need to like, I have so many body dysmorphic issues from a lifetime of just like, and then my brother teasing me and saying that he was always calling me a moose and an elk, saying I was bulky because he's really scrawny. Like his build is really like very scrawny for a male, right? So anyway, when you guys talk about it, it's like I'm interested.
I think you need to put your brother in a chokehold and give him some noogies till he changes his mind.
It just feels so good. It just feels so good to have.
I mean, I
was going to say, it just feels really good.
I do like it, but I'm just not comfortable with it. It's like an adjustment because I literally feel like if I start working out on the ribeye, I can tell I'm going to like get like bulkier and more defined. Like,
you're going to get more defined. I don't think you're going to necessarily get bulkier. What does Lady Carnivory think?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know. She looks great, but I just feel like it's a block. It's a block. Yeah.
It's definitely like the X3 is very interesting to me, but I don't know. I think you need to try deadlifting because nothing makes you feel more badass than lifting some weight.
You're talking Tom's language here.
Yeah, so
true. I think I like, and it's so deadlift.
So how much can Lady Carnivory deadlift?
Everything gets a workout with a deadlift.
Oh yeah, it's so good. I haven't tested my max in quite a while.
Just give us a ballpark. We won't hold you to it.
For a max or working sets?
Well, tell us both if you know both.
Well, working sets I can do 135.
Right. And you probably only weigh what? Buck.
Do you even weigh that much?
Buck 10. How tall are you and roughly what do you weigh?
I'm 5'6" and I weigh 110.
Wow. So you're doing 135 deadlifts. Nice.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
I'm trying to get to 1.5 body
That's
weight.
a workout. That's just what you're working out with. That's not even your max.
Yeah, that's my first exercise.
Wow. That's impressive.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
great.
I maxed out at 470 before the carnivore COVID lockdown, and now I'm lucky to do 350. So I'm still working to get back up
Bending
there.
that bar.
Yeah.
I know, it's awful. My gym was closed for a whole year, so I'm back to almost. God, you have to go back all the way down.
How much working out at home and how much do you do at the gym, JC?
I am very lucky. My gyms are open here. So I've been doing all of my workouts at the gym as of, I think they reopened in June. But before that, I was doing plyometric circuits at home.
Did you have any issues with changing your body type? I mean, did you have any mental struggles with wanting to lift weights and change your form, or was that something that came easily to you?
Absolutely. I was a stereotypical cardio bunny, like I don't know. I feel like women are told that's how you get fit is you do a ton of cardio and yoga. And I never got the body I wanted doing that. And so when I found bodybuilding, I was just like, this is incredible. Why don't we know more about this? And I think a lot of women worry about getting bulky and building too much muscle. And maybe on carnivore, that could be true, but it's actually really hard work. It's really difficult to build muscle.
Yeah, when you see those chicks with gigantic muscles and no body fat, that doesn't happen without extra chemicals, shall we say. So
And years and years.
yeah, and a lot of work. Yeah. So
So what you're saying, Tom, is that I'm a far cry from getting.
I wouldn't worry about it, because even if you don't appreciate it, I will.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't worry.
Good one, Tom.
It's hard. It's actually really hard to
I'm
happen.
still using the Asian girl weights if I ever even touch a weight. We're talking like the maximum. Oh, I have like an 8-pound kettlebell and like a 5-pound like the little free weights. So I know I'm a far cry from LadyCarnivory doing her like 135-pound deadlift.
I just think it's funny that you're saying that, because the top female bikini bodybuilder, she just won the Arnold. She's Asian.
What? Wow.
Janet
What?
Leag? Yeah.
Gotta look. What's her name?
Janet Leag.
What? Same initials as me too.
There you go. Got to
Yeah.
go for that title now, Janice.
I'm gonna look her up.
And then my friend Maria runs on keto. She's doing Olympic weightlifting, and she looks fantastic. And
Yeah.
that's like a specific, type of weightlifting. Yeah. But it builds a specific body.
I'm looking for a name. I don't want to say the wrong one.
Janet
But
Leag, I see her. Oh my god.
So, I know you talked about eating disorders earlier. So trying to be on a strict diet, that didn't trigger any of that, or were you more of the eating disorder of not eating side, or on the binge eating side, or the eating too much side?
I restricted and I purged, and I don't find carnivore restrictive. I think because it's so satiating. Like, I don't know. If I could have bacon for the rest of my life and steak, I don't think that's restrictive.
well, if you're not cutting, then you probably don't restrict anything, right?
Well, I was during the mini cut, and I was
Right.
doing the 50-50. So I do track, but it doesn't trigger me the way it would have when I was in the midst of my eating disorder.
What is
So-
TAC?
Track.
Oh, track. Oh, I see. Got it.
Yeah. So when you're doing a mini cut, what are you cutting, like 5 or 10% of your calories, something like that?
Yeah, so it was a 10% cut.
Yeah. And how long did you do that?
It was 3 months.
How did you feel?
Wow.
Towards the end, I was not feeling super great.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I was getting to a point of just leanness and not restriction, but I just needed more fat refeeds. So that's been something we've been implementing. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's new and I don't know how effective it's going to be, but fat
Sure.
cycling
Mhm.
as part of my weekly routine. So far,
Well,
it's going well.
What's your favorite kind of fat?
Steak fat.
The,
I had a
the
choice.
ribeye fat, the trimmings, or how do you do it?
I really like New York strips, but I'll take whatever steak I can get. So sometimes it's ribeye, sometimes it's New York strip.
Yay, someone else that loves New York strip as much as me. I actually like New York strip more than ribeye. And I know I'm a
Same.
weirdo for it, right? They're just, I don't know, the texture and just the cut. It's so good.
That's another epidose, ribeye versus New York strip. I used to like New York strip, and then I graduated to ribeye.
You see, that's funny
Love how you
because
said it.
I've been on New York strip and I had a ribeye the other day and I was just like, this is sad.
Yes,
not.
I love it. I
Don't say
absolutely
that.
love it.
No.
Yes.
Oh no.
I actually prefer the texture of the New York strip more, but
Yeah.
if I eat New
Yeah.
York strips, I don't get enough fat. So then I have to supplement. So then the ribeye wins out. So, and to be honest with you, when I'm eating raw, the ribeye does taste better than the New York strip raw. So
Boom.
I have to rotate. Like, I love the New York strip, and then I really love the ribeye, and then I want to bounce to the New York strip. I mean, I just go back and forth.
Mm-mm.
So
I wouldn't turn away a New York strip. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean it's still fine, but whenever I eat a New York strip, I feel like slapping it because it doesn't have enough fat.
I will frequently put a strip of bacon or two on top of a New York
Right,
strip.
right.
Yeah.
That'll make it work. Yeah.
I think Asian carnivores prefer ribeye.
There you go. There you
Is that
go.
what it is?
That's right.
So tell us, Lady Carnivory, roughly you eating like a pound of meat a day, pound and a half, 2 pounds.
It's got to be a pound and a half to 2 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds pretty typical. So do you have any idea how many calories you typically burn in a day?
Burn. Ooh, it's got to be like
Oxidize. I don't want Bart to get after me for using the wrong terminology.
Nice.
probably 400.
4,000, 400. You got to be like 2,000 calories a day, maybe, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you meant through exercise.
Exercise.
Oh, just an exercise. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, 400 calories an hour. That's a pretty good pace.
Yeah, those workouts are brutal. I got to get through them quickly though, because we have time frames at the gym because you can only book an hour at a time. So my rest periods are super quick.
Did you notice your rest periods went down when you went carnivore, or were you working out before carnivore?
I was doing a lot of cardio before carnivore, and I noticed it was one of the most immediate things I noticed was that I was able to run and just keep running, and it was like my cardio endurance doubled without doing any different sort of training. Yeah,
that's amazing. As much as we'd like to brag about the superiority of carnivore, doubling is pretty amazing.
I should say I am a weenie at cardio. I hate it, so I was never one to really pursue it. To like my ultimate max, but with carnivore, it's so easy. So it's just, I don't know. It made it fun. It made it right. It wasn't as difficult anymore, so it was fun.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there with you. It made working out much more fun. Made cardio easier for sure. And I'm always having this argument with people because, you know, a lot of people think running or something is going to keep you alive longer. But as we know, marathon runners don't live longer than anybody else. So, you know, if you're going to run, if you're going to do some really hardcore cardio, don't do it because you think you're going to live longer. If you sit down and talk to a guy, you know, Zach Bitter is by any chance? He's a ultra marathoner.
Yeah. Doesn't he do carnivore or he?
Yeah, he's pretty carnivore, but he'll be one of the first people to tell you is don't do what I do if you want for your health, because it's really hard on the body, you know? So in fact, I think Sean's pointed out many times that actually the thing that helps people survive longer is strength. If anything, it's leg strength and agility is what keeps people alive much longer than being able to run. So we don't have to outrun saber-toothed tigers and wolves anymore. So the occasional bear, maybe the occasional tiger mom occasionally, but you know, it's not like the old days. So
that's definitely something.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that's definitely something I hope to inspire in other women is weightlifting, because it's so important, especially for women as they age. You lose muscle mass, you lose bone density, and the only way to protect against that is to build more muscle mass and to build bone density, which you can do through weightlifting.
Weightlifting keeps your bones dense too. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Janice.
I was saying, you guys are really starting to get me thinking that this is the
We're getting inside your head, Janice.
Like, oh, I can hear your voices in my head tomorrow.
I promise. Well, I don't know. The first time I deadlifted, it was a spiritual experience for me. I was just like, I want to do this forever.
Oh my goodness, Tom, this is like your perfect person to come on the show.
Had I known, I would have hunted her down a month ago. But yeah, my spiritual experience is the squat. So like I'm obsessed with how much I can get to squat, you know, even more than deadlift. Well, I'll tell you, my issue with deadlift is my hands. I have a rebuilt left hand, so I have a little bit of a grip issue with the deadlift, and that keeps me from doing things like dips, and it gets in the way of doing deadlifts. But the squat, I just broke 600 pounds. And so like in my mind, it's just like, because every time I get up there and I see the bar bending, I'm like, yeah, I'm stronger than the bar. Yeah.
That is amazing. We're going to get Janice to deadlift.
Yeah. Just keep hitting those bands. Don't be afraid. Look, you can always stop and go back to being smooth and ordinary.
Like bamboo.
You can
You
be
guys
like,
tricked me. You said we were going to talk about OCD and anxiety. You tricked me into this weightlifting conversation.
hey, it'll free you. It'll get rid of that last little bit of OCD. You may not be half the Asian agent you are now, but you'll feel better.
Oh, if you're
Oh.
saying that's going to upgrade my Asian agent skills, I'm interested now.
The only person missing from this conversation is Charmaine. She's the one that would really convince you, Janet.
Oh,
Yeah, she's a CrossFitter, so
oh dear.
and she's tiny. She's like 4'9" or something like that. And you'll see pictures of her running through the forest with a log on her shoulders. You're like, what? Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
anyways, but yeah, no, I keep play around with those bands and see if it makes you feel good. Because I love
I
lifting.
like it. No, I like the feeling that, I mean,
Yeah.
I have the feelings now of like, I have muscles and I like to use them, but I just have that block about like actually going to the gym and anything with the bar and all that stuff. But when I watch LadyCarnivory, it's totally inspiring because I see her posts on Instagram and I think, oh my gosh, she's like tiny, feminine, and still like doing this crazy. I mean, it's very compelling to watch. I'm at the watching stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think weightlifting, even if you aren't crazy about it or you're not a competitor about it, I think you definitely going to live longer. We know it hardens your bones, makes your bones stronger and denser, which is a big issue for people when they get older. Because I think the one really compelling statistic that I always repeat to people is that once you're 55, which isn't that far away, believe me, it comes like
Speak for
that.
yourselves.
Damn, you're wrong.
Once you're 55, if you fall and break a hip, you got a 50-50 chance of being dead in 12 months. Yeah, it's not good because a lot of people never recover from the surgery, right?
Let me say this. So one thing that carnivore does even better than building strong bones is balance. Okay?
Yeah, Ray's shown that.
And if you get balance, let me tell you, you can fall any which way and you don't have a problem.
You're like Spider-Man. You can just catch yourself.
I'm doing falls. I mean, like on my jiu-jitsu today. I mean, that's constantly what we do over and over again. So, and to say, oh, well, all of them know how to fall. No, we get injuries in jiu-jitsu. And for me being this old, not getting that is pretty doggone good. Well, hey, I'm only a year away from you there, Tom?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Justin, I don't think Janice is much older than you, so she's like 2 or 3 years older.
She doesn't look it for sure. But,
I'm 11.
Yeah.
Almost 12 years now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, you didn't know that really?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I thought she was like
I thought you were just
34 or something.
I'm turning 43 in
a
couple months here, a few months.
Oh, darn it.
So the old farts are me and you, Tom.
Yeah. Did you want to tell us how old you are later? LadyCarnivory is certainly not required.
I am 28.
28. Wow. So there you go.
He's the new baby, Justin.
Wait, Justin.
Justin,
I know. 31.
Yeah. So okay.
So yeah, math. She's younger than me. Yeah. I'm no longer the young gun in carnivore.
Getting old, Justin.
Our circle.
So when is your next competition, LadyCarnivory? When you hit the stage?
July 31st.
July 31st.
And so are you going to have to cut again before then? I'm assuming yes, right? So you're coming up on the cut, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Hang on. So where are you competing at? Because I know you said you're going to move soon, right?
Yes, I'm competing in Jacksonville.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, the other side of the country.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I might have to drive down to watch that. Yeah,
we can all hang out at Brett's house.
So cool. I know, right?
Yeah.
Get Brett to come over or something like that. Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah. So please, send it out to me, especially, and I'll come by and cheer you on and everything.
That would be amazing.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
So what's the date? So we can anyone who's in Jacksonville.
July 31st.
July 31st.
31st. You did just say that for some reason.
Welcome to the party, Justin.
There we go.
Well, do you guys have anything else you want to say? Did you get your story out, you think, there, Lady Carnivory? Did you, is there anything else you wanted to tell us?
Nope.
Well, we're really glad you came. It was really nice
Wait,
meeting you.
wait, real fast. I just want to
Yes,
say
go
that
for it.
I want to acknowledge Lady Carnivory for changing. You really changed my life by sharing so candidly about OCD and your experience of how that actually played out for you. Because as I shared with you, my dad has really, really debilitating OCD, and I was diagnosed with obsessive anxiety. So it's not quite the same as the OCD, but I feel like when you shared, it really helped me to understand my dad, like, because it really impacted our lives, like so much so. He had so many rituals, so many chants he did. It was so weird. My friends thought it was weird. All of our relatives thought it was weird. It affected his livelihood because, as I told you, he's a dentist. And so everything took like 10 times longer. And so his productive career was like significantly diminished. And now he's like 74, he's still working and he's still struggling with it, and he's still not eating a proper diet. And so, I mean, I never had a good relationship with my dad, and a lot of it was to do with the fact that he was so like aggressive and angry and kind of violent. And he still has obsessive compulsive disorder. So I just want to share that like really opened things up for me about like understanding that he completely is not in control. And I never really got that. Like, even though we all have mental health issues, I was always just like, but you're just a dick, like it's, you just need to stop doing that. Like, stop doing it. It's driving everybody crazy.
Right.
And so I just wanted to acknowledge you because that did change things for me, and it's enabled me to really have a lot more compassion for my dad. And I think other people who hear OCD thrown around and they don't really know what that looks like, I think you're telling it like exactly what you did and how you thought and how it affected your relationships has been very helpful. So I just want to make sure that we put that on the record.
No, it's really good that you brought that up, Janice, because I really started interviewing people because I realized that sharing people's stories was one of the most powerful things we could do. And you'll help all kinds of people you'll never even hear from, but you'll see comments from people who are really grateful that you did share your story, and you're going to change people's lives. So don't have any doubt about that. So don't give up telling your story, because one of the things I learned too is that you almost can't tell it too much, because it just has to get to more and more people in more and more crowds over time. That's the way to really change the world. So
That's why I share. Like, if I can just help one person get to carnivore, that would mean the world to me.
yeah. Yeah. And one of the things I noticed at the beginning too, I had very little effect on the people around me, like my family and my friends and the people I worked with. That's changed over time. But when I made videos and it was influencing people that I never would meet, that I never knew, that they find it on the internet or somebody sends them the link or whatever. And then you realize that you can have an effect on people well beyond your immediate circle, and that makes things like this so powerful. And of course, building a community like this. So it's not just, they don't look at any one of us as a fluke. They're like, oh, well, you're different. You can just eat meat, and it made a difference. But they see that we are all different ages, we're different sex, we had different medical problems, and we managed to resolve them just by changing what we eat. And when we changed what we eat, it wasn't that bad, because I think a lot of people, you've probably had people tell you that, like, oh, I can't give up bread. I could never give up bread. I've heard that 1,000 times, and I'm like, it's not really that big of a deal once you do it. Or it's like my girlfriend gave up soda. She drank soda her whole life, like several cans a day, and then she's not drinking anymore. And she's like, it really wasn't that big a deal. She doesn't really miss it. So we've helped people just get over those little hurdles and improve their life, and they realize that these foods we shouldn't be eating, these things we shouldn't be drinking, have a profound effect not just on our body but our minds, right? And it's really holding us back. And when you're nice and young, but even for people like me, it's like a whole another level of freedom, because I'm going to the gym doing stuff that people half my age don't do, right? So it's great. And just like you said, I think I like to point out that it might be a little bit different for me, but I suffer from anxiety and it influenced every choice I made, and I'm sure it's the same, something similar for people with OCD. Is like they're preoccupied with, checking stuff and rituals and stuff like that. And it influences everything in their life. It influences their decisions, their relationships and stuff like that. And all that can be changed just by what you eat, you know. I had my struggle with the medication. They put me on medication too, and it made me, I really didn't stim that much before, but they put me on SSRIs, and I was stimming all the time. It was like uncontrollable, and it's like I tended to regress. Like I was trying to be more sociable and more outgoing, and it made me less. It made me retreat back into my own little head, and stay in my headspace more and more, because there was like it's almost like there was a barrier between me and everything else. Like everything was muted, less tactile, less which to some extent I probably liked the fact that things weren't as loud and weren't as bright and everything else, but it made me much more regressive, so the medication was probably, in the end, it was having completely negative effects and almost no positive effects.
Sounds like it made you more depressed. That's what you're actually describing there.
Yeah, it was probably sort of like depression. I wouldn't necessarily say I felt sad or something, but or whatever, but it definitely made me regressive. So yeah, it's good to know that just eating steak, which who doesn't love bacon and steak anyways? I mean, when we all get down to it, it's kind of magical all by itself. So
I just want to announce to the group that I just ordered another X3 bar for myself.
What?
Aaron, I bought one for Aaron and he loves it, but I
Yeah.
bought the set that's like the one that doesn't have the really crazy band. So I've just got the little lower set. So thank you for inspiring me. I can't believe I just did that, but they were having $100 off sale, and I'm Chinese, and I was like, Raymond, $100 off. I gotta get it.
And you saved $100.
That's what I fell for, and I bought it early on too.
We all love a good bargain.
You made a really compelling case that it is like he invented the whole thing for his mother, right? For bone density and, aging and building that, so maybe this will be a starting point. So thank you for inspiring me real time on this epidose.
Yeah. It's a good rig. I don't have one myself, but I made one during the COVID lockdown when they were sold out. I was like, I have all those parts laying around the house. So
he built his own.
Yeah, I have a giant one. So.
And cool, Janice, I get to challenge you to an arm wrestling competition when we meet up now. You got something to train for. There you go.
I'm far from being able to win yet, but let's go for it.
That will make some great videos, some arm wrestling competitions.
I can't wait. Justin didn't ask JC for it.
Let's go. I'm totally down. I'll take you out.
Actually, I want to have JC bench press me.
I know, right?
Throw me on a board and she can,
There you go. Girls bench pressing girls. I should be in the Olympics as far as I'm concerned.
You have to say that. That's funny.
All right. So should we wrap it up before we descend into total debauchery?
Probably.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody out there for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you're entertained. I hope you're inspired. Maybe you want to send the link on to somebody else who's going to enjoy it or be inspired or helped by it. Make sure you stay subscribed. Make sure you leave us some comments. And until next time, eat some meat, feel better, and whatever you do,
don't fall down the carb hole.
I should probably stop recording.